Hello boys and girls, R1 here. Today we continue our quest to try and wring a good game out of the T26-4. The last match that I showed you really wasn't too bad, but it still wasn't up to the standards that I would like to see this tank able to perform, or perhaps I should say the standards that I would like to perform to while driving this tank. But it did have some perks. I had scored enough points and accumulated enough experience that I had unlocked the winter camo skin. And the very next match just happened to be Finland. Now, since this is an arcade match, that's not going to make a huge difference. I'll still have a big red marker over my head to the enemy team, but it made me feel a little bit more secure, and I felt a little more confident this time around. So I found a very well-defended position where the enemy is arrayed below me, advancing toward the rocky cleft that I'm nestled in. And I've got an excellent killing field before me. The range the enemy tanks are clustered at is, well, it's at the edge of what I would consider comfortable range for this tank. My cursor isn't completely off the bottom of the screen for aiming, and the trajectory of my shells by the time it reaches those tanks is almost completely vertical, coming down on the weaker top armor of their hull and turrets. This is almost an ideal situation for me to be in this tank, as long as I don't overextend and get myself killed by ignoring incoming fire, and that was my first kill in this tank. I've also racked up an assist somewhere along the line. Not a bad start. And the camo actually works fairly well on this map. The dirty dark green with the whitewash over it blends in fairly well with the surrounding trees and rocks. I'm going to drop in some artillery to help keep the enemy's head down and keep them at bay. A note about the camo. Indirectly, it may actually have benefited me in this match. You'll notice, as kind of a side note, several times during the course of this match, I will have friendly tanks pull up beside me, tanks without any form of camo, and inevitably they seem to draw a much larger volume of fire than I do. Perhaps the other player's eyes are drawn to those more eye-catching color schemes, while their eye tends to glide right on past me, even though they can clearly see where I am. It's just a pet theory I have. Take it for what it's worth. Right now I have a couple of tanks ahead of me that I'd like to put a serious dent in. There's an M2A2 that is a little too far back to be effectively covered. He's going to ping me with machine gun rounds, but at this range I'm reasonably safe. Although M2A2s have managed to penetrate this tank, it was at much closer range. And there he goes. Alright, that's 2 down. Let's see if we can drop some shells in on these fellows that are hiding behind these ridges. That's a much trickier shot. I have done it, but it's pretty much guesswork at this point. I've called artillery in on them as well in hopes of rousting them from their hiding spots. Playing the role of sniper was the last thing I expected to have any luck with in this tank. This is kind of a perfect storm of everything coming together in, well, just the right combination to play to this tank's particular strengths. Normally, I much prefer to get in to close range, especially in a tank like this with a big gun, and really mix it up, but I'm trying to coax a really good game out of this tank, preferably stay in this tank for the entire match. And that just doesn't seem to happen very often in this vehicle, let alone have a good match and end up surviving. So you'll have to forgive me this time around if I do play it a little bit cautiously. It was just the best way to handle the situation this time around, even if it's not exactly the most action-packed video to watch at this particular moment. You'll notice that since my hard cover is on my left, I tried to work my way around from right to left on the enemy tanks. That way, I've got good cover between those I'm not able to concentrate on and only expose myself to those that I'm actively able to fire against. But The tanks over to the right are not in a good position to shoot at me right this moment, so that tank is so exposed, I've got to take a few shots at him. That M3A1. What's his name? Rasputin? How appropriate. I hesitate a moment here. I'm going to freely admit I'm spoiled for choice. There's this cluster of tanks that just popped out in the center of the map. I take one down, one of my teammates takes down the one next to him, and I've still got a third over there that is fairly accessible. I managed to pick up another assist during that, and more tanks are moving directly into my field of fire. Whenever possible, I'm trying to focus on the tanks that have come to a stop. With a slow-moving projectile like this, catching them on the move is extremely difficult, particularly if they're moving closer or further away at an angle from me. It makes predicting the trajectory that the shell needs to go in at very difficult. This T-26 is a great example. He lurches forward, and I'll get a bead on him and fire, but by the time my shell gets there, he's changed position or changed the angle that he's approaching at, forcing me to either overshoot or undershoot repeatedly. It's just not a winning bet to waste a lot of shots on a tank like that. Better to wait until he comes to a stop somewhere, or better yet, choose another target. Now they've tried to drop artillery in, which have me pretty nervous. I've died to artillery far too many times in this tank, but I get lucky and they don't position it well, allowing me to move forward and shoot again. There is all sorts of artillery that's being dropped on this battlefield by both sides, and it's getting extremely dangerous out there in the killing zone. I think that's a sign that the enemy team is starting to get a little bit frustrated with us. We've managed to stall out their entire main push from this position. We've got a few tanks down towards the front of the battle that are providing an excellent set of eyes. I keep getting companions up here beside me that are just raining merciless fire down on them. There's kill number 4. And they just haven't been able to gain any traction at all this round. As a matter of fact, a general advance is starting right now, and I'm going to support it as best I can. I'm very tempted to roll out with the rest of my team, but I can still do some good work from up here, I think. There we go. He'll just stay in one spot. I can probably... Yep, there we go. That's kill number 5. So I've had pretty good luck so far this match, and frankly, I think I've about gotten to the point where I would actually call this a genuine good game. Our advance is pushing the enemy up over that ridge in the distance, and I'm just about to roll out to move forward with the rest of my team when I take a random shot to the turret. I think this match is a little bit bugged for the reason I'm about to explain, and for something that happens a little later on. You see, I have crew members alive, wounded, but alive. But I can't fire. And it's not giving me the option to repair that damage. I'm stuck with a functional tank that can't fire its main gun. So, what to do? I'm not completely helpless. I still have a machine gun that works. I'm going to test that here in just a second. Yeah, there it goes. And I have artillery at my disposal, and I can still call in an airstrike. So, I do the only logical thing. I attack. Well, thanks to my machine guns and artillery strikes, I've managed to accumulate another kill assist. But now I've damaged my suspension and tracks. So maybe that was a good thing, because I have a feeling I might have ended up directly underneath that artillery barrage otherwise. I've just dropped another artillery barrage where I hope it will do the most good up on the front lines and begin to move forward, but I'm going to trigger an air battle now, and this will lead me to the other strange thing about this match. As soon as I got into this Japanese bomber, why it's a Japanese bomber I'll never know, the first thing that flashed up on my screen, and it doesn't show up in this replay, but I swear to you, it said the enemy team has lost all vehicles. Well, I thought, oh, well, the match is going to end any second now, so it looks like we have won. And I start to do a victory roll, and as soon as I start my roll, I look over my shoulder, and I see 2 more enemy tanks spawn in. And the message that said that the enemy team had lost all its vehicles faded away. Yeah, I've never seen that happen in a War Thunder match before either. Well, undeterred, I finished my victory roll and then went over to see if I could rack up one last kill before my team finished off these last 2 or now 3 survivors. They're clustered together, so I drop my bombs and hope for the best. And lo and behold, I managed to pick off at least one of them when the bombs finally go off. And a few seconds later, I'm also going to pick up the spare by getting yet another kill assist. That's 6 kills and 4 kill assists in this silly little tank. And I didn't die, which is kind of key as well. So I finally got my good game in this tank, and I'm pretty well pleased with the results. As for the enemy team, the few remaining survivors are going to scatter to the hills, but my boys will hunt them down eventually and kill them all. I really don't blame the enemy for running at this point. They're completely overmatched and outnumbered. So I congratulated myself and wrapped up taping this episode, and well, I just happened to think at this point in time I still had one more match left in me. Did I want to go for broke and see if I could pull out another one that was at least partially good? Because I was starting to have a little fun in this tank. As a matter of fact, I was having fun with my whole lineup. I didn't really expect to get another match where I lived to the end of it, and truth to tell, a little foreshadowing here, I didn't. But I ended up having an awfully good match anyway, and an awful lot of fun. So, mission accomplished, and a little fun to boot in this next match that I'm going to show you. So here we are on the Poland map. The pressure's off. I've gotten the footage that I wanted to get, so this one's just for fun. And, well, that sounds a little grim, doesn't it? All the matches I play are just for fun, but sometimes I have a goal, and it can get a little frustrating when you don't achieve your goal in a given game or 2 or 4. But close quarters fighting on the streets of Poland. Now that's a little different environment that I'd taken this tank into so far. You would think it would be made to order for this type of combat, but my fear is it's a little on the fragile side. It's not very quick, so it can't get out of the way, and it really doesn't have very good armor to take hits with. So I decide, well, yeah, we're going to go for broke, but we're not going to be stupid about it. I am going to utilize cover to my best advantage. From corner to corner, from house to house, I intended to systematically push the enemy out of whatever section of the city I decided to claim. I'm tempted to follow the main force right down the central street, which is to my left. But I hold up. I think I'm going to cover them as the lighter, faster tanks advance, and see if I can do some damage from the safety of this pile of rubble. There's an enemy tank. I hit him on his strongest armor, and it deflects away. Okay, that's all right. It was kind of to be expected. We'll see if we have any other targets of opportunity come down this way. I've got plenty of teammates in the area, but the enemy calls in artillery on my position, and artillery has been my bane in this tank in particular. That big flat turtle head seems to be an artillery magnet, so I'm going to back off, turn to my right, and act as a support on the right flank of our central push toward the cap. It may sound a little mercenary, but I'm hoping that the lighter, faster BT-5s will draw the bulk of the enemy fire. I'm taking a little shrapnel damage from that artillery. I got away from that corner just in time. And I think my decision was a wise one. There are 2 dead friendly tanks right where I would have been had I continued pushing on down that street. So, I'm going to take that as a good sign. I've made the right call so far. Now, if I was in a big bruiser of a tank with a big gun like this, maybe I could have punched on through, but this little thing just isn't going to do that. Well, I spot an enemy tank, an American. What is it? A2? Yeah, M2A2. And this stupid fence keeps messing up my shots. It's detonating on the fence and not traveling on through. It's the type of ammunition I'm using. This tank really doesn't have armor piercing at its disposal, so I managed to put one into its side, but it still closes with a friendly tank. This is a tricky shot, and it punches through. Alright, so I saved my teammate, and I got my first kill of the match. We're off to a pretty decent start. I'm going to work this flank and get out from under the next artillery barrage by going around this corner. Cautiously, though. I don't want to be stupid about this. Alright, it's clear so far. I thought I caught a glimpse of somebody going in those buildings over to the right, so you'll notice me keeping a wary eye over there. I don't want to get flanked and punched in on, although we do have a friendly tank in that area as well. I'm hoping that he's going to be able to take care of business and keep that enemy tank off of me while I check out these buildings. And there's more artillery coming in around me. There's the front of a tank right there. I don't know if it's alive or dead. It's dead. Oh, there's my teammate rushing forward directly into the cap and the enemy artillery blast. And that doesn't end well for him. But I still have one more teammate over to the right, so hopefully I'm still okay. I'm going to push forward because artillery is going to hit this area hard. Hopefully on the other side of this building. And there's another enemy tank. German Panzer II, I believe. I put a good shot into him. I'm going to start backing up. Put another one in. Critical hit. And back around the corner. I can't go too far back or I'll end up getting hit by artillery. And I'm attacked by an airplane from above. Fortunately, it doesn't do me any harm. Come back out. I've got to look through the smoke for him. There he is. He's still sitting there. And another one down. That's 2 down. Not too bad. Oh, and a third one directly in front of me. I snap a shot in. Critical hit. Oh, he's close enough he can tear me up, but I managed to finish him off as well. But there's an M3 just behind him that manages to put a shot directly through the front of my tank before I have a chance to reload. Take out all of my crew in one shot. So, well, there's that. That's all right. 3 kills in that short a period of time. I'm not upset about that. That's not bad performance out of a single tank. It's not spectacular, but it's not bad. I can live with that. But now we're going to go for broke. I'm going to jump in the T-35. You know what? I'm going to name this thing because it deserves a name. I've had so much fun in it. We're going to call this the Titanic and see if we can pick off that T-26 over there. Shot arcs in. I hit it. A good hit. He's still alive. Am I going to be able to pick him off or not? Come on, arc it in. Ah, kill assist. That's okay. I can live with that. Now let's go ahead and see if we can advance over the ridge. Now there's an enemy TBF up ahead. I've got plenty of machine guns, so I might as well see if I can tag him while he's orbiting around up there over my teammates. Ah, and I tag him. The Yak one got the kill, I believe. No, I'm sorry. He was taken down by a Panzer 35. Nice shot, buddy. But I did get the kill assist on that. I'd like to take out that BT-5 as well, but I'm in an awkward position partway up this slope, and I can't bring my gun down low enough. That's that Russian gun depression again. Alright, we've made it over the ridge, and now I can build up a little bit of speed heading toward the town, which, thank God, because this tank is anything but fast. Again, I'm going to stick to covering the right flank of our advance. We've got somebody recapturing the singular capture point in this match, so That's a good thing. And almost immediately, well, I had to make sure that guy was dead, but I do spot somebody coming in fast. Snapping a shot, it's a near miss. I've got backup here. Lead him. Double shot, and down he goes. I love doing a double volley in this tank. The 76mm and the 45mm working in concert. Oh, I've just taken a hit to the turret, and I can't really move it, but my gun is still functional. If I can line one of these guns up, he goes down. I've kind of lost count, but I think that puts me at a total of 5 kills and 2 or 3 assists. Let's see if we can't find our next target up ahead here. It's a smoky. I can't see anything, though. And they are just plastering artillery in over in that section. I'm glad I haven't advanced quite to that point yet, because this tank is a huge, huge artillery target. Even bigger, of course, than the T-26-4 that I was in. This time around, I am blessed with plenty of lighter, faster tanks around me in support. And they're already mixing it up. The cap is right here, and he's already taken out that German tank. I'm going to put a shot into him just to make sure. But the enemy team is thick in this area as well. It's a raging furball going back and forth. Each side, whoa, gaining advantage momentarily over the other and then losing it again. I'm pretty well prepared for anything from the left. I've got 2 guns well positioned to deal with anything on that side with a broadside, and equally as well prepared for anything coming at me from the front. So I'm going to approach this with a fair amount of confidence. And I just saw a flash of red behind me. I'm going to back up, which is a slow and lengthy proposition in this tank. And there's an enemy tank that zipped in right there. And he doesn't see me. And he never will. Alright, that's another one down. Not doing too bad. But we've got artillery coming in again. So I'm going to keep backing up. That might not be the best plan. And we're being attacked from the right. That's okay, I've got a broadside just for you. And he goes down as well. The artillery is landing just to my right. I'm taking a little bit of incidental damage, but nothing too serious. The bulk of it hits ahead of me, and through the smoke I see another T-26, which goes down to a frontal barrage. This tank really kicks ass when it gets in the mode. You hit a certain groove with it, and it's scary. If you haven't picked this premium tank up, you might consider doing it, because it's a ton of fun. It's slow motion fun, but it can be very satisfying to run. Now I am going to plant my plentifully broad behind here in the cap circle and recapture this point. I figure no matter what, even worst case scenario, I should be able to survive unless artillery drops straight on my head. And I'm very fortunate. They do call in artillery, but it's hitting on the other side of the building just behind me for the most part. So, but there is a firefight in the street ahead of me, and I get nicked. Oh, it's from an airplane overhead, who is going to try and take me out and drop bombs all over the place around me. I'm going to back up. I have 10 seconds. If I can get my frontal armor to them. Okay, I just take a little track and transmission damage. Nothing that I can't handle. It hasn't even really slowed me down. I'm still okay. Fortunately, it was just a bunch of itty-bitty bombs. Oh, excuse me, sir. And here we go. Next target in my sights. We're going to put some right through the front of his tank. He's surprisingly durable, but we do manage to tear up his engine, so he can't get away with a critical hit. And while he's sitting pretty, we're going to go ahead and just pump a few more rounds into him until he blows up. I'm going to back off. More artillery coming in. And I'm getting hit by something to my right and behind me. That's a bad spot. I don't have good coverage back there. But I have another tank in front of me, so I'm going to focus all my attention on him. Put another one through the front of his glacis there, in the upper part of his superstructure. And another. One into his tracks to make sure he's going nowhere, and let's take out his last crew member. And there we go. Alright, well, I'm a little dinged up, but I held out long enough. The match is over, and we've won, and that was a lot of fun. I had a good time in that match. We walked away with a total of 10 kills, 3 of them in the T-26-4, which makes me happy as well, and a bunch of assists. And what is that? Oh, talisman on the I-16 Type 24. Well, I may have to make a video on that now. Get a little extra experience to boot. And 2 assists. I thought we ended up with 3 out of that, but 2 will do. And a lot of critical hits and awards, yada, yada, yada. All in all, not bad. I want a decal. I really should start putting decals on again. Well, anyway, that was the last match in this series, and I hope you enjoyed it. I had fun with these matches, and it was significantly more satisfying than the first 2. That's all that I have for you for today. Until I see you guys again, good hunting. Thanks for watching. I hope you were entertained. If you liked the video, please remember to subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you. And I'll see you next time.